If there's one thing that I know for certain, it's that I have a tendency to put myself behind the eight ball and be poor with time management. Be poor with time management, be poor with a lot of things. But the one thing that I know for certain is that I know professional wrestling when it comes to TEW 2022 or 2020. You know, I just worked the Royal Rumble. I just put together the Royal Rumble 2005, and as you see, John Cena won instead of Batista. I feel a little bit more comfortable with John Cena main eventing WrestleMania against Kurt Angle with than I do with, excuse me, Batista. Not to say that Batista doesn't deserve it, not to say that Batista didn't earn it, but the fact of the matter is, Batista is not as far along as Cena is. And Cena has something to prove. Batista has a lot more to prove, but isn't ready to be christened as that guy. He's not ready to move into that general vicinity. The point of what I wanted to push with the Royal Rumble was the Royal Rumble last year. The Royal Rumble last year was not the best event. It wasn't the worst event, but it wasn't the best event. I was still learning how to do things. I was still figuring out where to go, what to do. I don't want to say use the Royal Rumble as a springboard for other events, but I was still figuring out the bigger picture, the grander scheme of things. I was still figuring things out. The No Way Out, the plan started going in motion. For lack of a better word, the plan started going in motion, but now, if you look at where we are now as opposed to where we were, the question is, where are we going? Not where we were. Because this is what we saw at WrestleMania 20 last year, the last show of Brock Lesnar's WWE career to this point. Triple H retained the title against Shawn Michaels. The Dudleys, Eddie retained against Benoit. Rob Van Dam and Randy Orton. Rey Mysterio and Jushin Thunder Liger. The Rock, The Rock against Roddy Piper. Undertaker against Kane. Mick Foley against Batista. Cena wins the U.S. title. Goldberg finally caps off his run with Mark Jindrak. Battle Royal, Booker T in a Battle Royal. Lita wins and retains the Women's Championship. This year's WrestleMania is going to be a little bit different because I used the Royal Rumble. Yes, for lack of a better word, I should have spent more time building up Edge versus Kurt Angle instead of Edge versus Chris Benoit. But this was Edge's first chance at the WWE Championship since his feud with Brock Lesnar in 2002. Rhino is being built up as a future top star through his feud with the McMahons and Triple H. Rikishi wins the international TV title, but the biggest point is Christian. Christian retained the Intercontinental title, and not only that, was the Iron Man of the Royal Rumble. He was the Iron Man of the Royal Rumble and was one of the people I made sure to include in the breakdown alongside John Cena, Batista, Rey Mysterio, and Eddie Guerrero. Eddie got the most eliminations. Batista and Rey were runner-up and one of the finalists alongside Chris Jericho. I picked the people that I wanted to build the rest of the year around. And those people are Batista, Eddie, Ray, Jericho, and Christian. The fact of the matter is, John Cena is already slotted in for the first half of the year. Basically, what I'm saying is, I spent too much time building the Royal Rumble, and that should have been the one that I put in the main event, not the world title match. I thought that the world title match, which lo and behold, I was going to book a different way in an Indian strap match. But also, if you look at where we were in the Alamo Dome, and it just so happened that the local boy, Shawn Michaels, was able to win the world championship in his hometown of San Antonio, Texas, in the Alamo Dome. Shades of 1997, when he won the world title back from Sid Vicious in the Alamo Dome in 1997. But this was the first time that Shawn Michaels got, I could be wrong, but I do believe that this is the first time that Shawn got a world title match since losing the title to Triple H. And that is exactly right. It is the first time that Shawn Michaels got a world title match since losing the title to Triple H, or losing to Triple H at WrestleMania, in a match that if he lost, he would never challenge the world champion Triple H, as long as Triple H was the world champion. And it just so happened that other people kept moving forward, and it just never thought to click of Jericho versus Michaels when Jericho was the champion. And, the fact of the matter is, I had Shawn against Kenny King. I had Shawn against, John Cena. I had Shawn against Test, Scott Hall, etc., etc., etc. And then he started with Mr. X. Mr. X was supposed to be his opponent. Mr. X was supposed to be his guy. Kane was supposed to be his guy. But things change. Plans change. I chose Ric Flair to be Randy Orton's first opponent rather than Shawn Michaels. Or second opponent rather than Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels has been on the outside looking in since WrestleMania of last year, and I didn't even know. Shawn Michaels has not fought Chris Jericho since Chris Jericho turned babyface. Shawn Michaels has never fought Booker T in this. Shawn Michaels has never fought Batista. Actually, I don't think he has, now that I look at it. But also, talent like Christian, you can revisit it because I guarantee you it's going to do better this time. There's unfinished business with him and Test because him and Test did actually pretty well with a 93 on a random episode of Raw. Won a Test, if not Test's best match. My point is, the Royal Rumble, it may be one of the big four, but it's supposed to be a building block for WrestleMania. It's supposed to be that show that makes you look forward to WrestleMania and what's to come a little bit more. But I didn't just take it for WrestleMania. I feel like I did what I could to make the Royal Rumble, a building block for 2005 and a continued building block of rebuilding WWE for the future. And maybe finding some hidden people like a Rhino or a Christian to end up being at the top by the end of the year. But these have been my thoughts. It was not about rebooking or booking or anything like that. I just wanted to show off the improvement, number one, and number two, the plans I have for 2005 in TEW 2020, because I feel like I'm in a better position now, and I feel like I made good use of the pay-per-view, and I wanted to share it with all of you. So this has been me, I guess you could say, show and tell of how I booked the Royal Rumble 2005 and how it was a little bit different, or a lot different, than the actual show, in my opinion, maybe a little bit better because there's a bigger picture here to look at. But with that being said, it is time for me to go, and I will see you in the next video.